Can anyone see me now? How's that? Hello, can anyone hear me? I'll just ask another blonde. Let's have a look. Oh, hello, Safety Man. Hey, Safety Man. And Rabcom, you can hear me. Great. Thanks, Rabam CM and Anthony Morn. Hello. Thanks for joining me, guys. It's really, really great for you to come onto this event with me. Much appreciated. I can see you now. Yeah, I can see you. Great. I'm fine, my thanks, Anthony. Really, thanks for all of you for joining me. It is New Year's Eve. It's just gone 8 PM. Let me see, I've got my dragon juice. I've got my... This is sherry. It's only the second time I've tried one of these live streams, so bear with me. Get it sorted. I can see myself on here, that's good. All right. So, you guys, it's great you're here. I hope you're having a lovely New Year's Eve evening. Hello, GS Evolved. How you doing? Happy New Year to you. I just wanted to sort of talk to you guys about the year that's just gone by. Happy New Year, Tim. Stop the New World Order. Yeah. About what's happened over the course of the year, and I just thought I'd talk about that a little bit. So I'll go back to the various videos I've made. Now, it's hard to pick a favourite video of all the videos I've made. Also, I mean, a lot's happened this year, and it's been very different from last year. It's been quite a hectic year. Stephen, hey Stephen, evening. How are you? It's been quite a hectic year in many ways. An awful lot's happened. Now, I began with the new year with the Great Skeptic debate, which was sort of well, I was with Colin Snuggs, and it was a bit of a, I don't know, he's gone a bit strange since then. I've fallen out with him, but we haven't had disclosure, have we? That's the problem. We have not had disclosure, have we, ladies and gentlemen? Eel Pie Island, says Safety Man, is one of my. Hey Heidi, TTFN, just had a bong, feeling fine, says Anthony, and Stephen Freeson. Evening, Stephen. Hey sweetheart, hi Heidi. No, well, we didn't have disclosure. That's a shame. That's a shame we never had disclosure. But that's comes with the course, unfortunately, doesn't it? It's a shame when that it doesn't work out with disclosure. But don't matter about it, as we say in Wales. We had Obama had his last chance for disclosure at the end of his presidency, and he didn't have it. And then, of course, we had the coronation of the God Emperor. And that was like when Stephen Bassett really thought it was all over with Trump. He thought, that's it, it's all doomed. Happy New Year, Peter. Happy New Year. And now, Safety Man, you want to know about Eel Pie Island? I'm sorry, that video was gone. I had to take it down for various legal reasons, but I shall be remaking it as soon as possible. Okay. Hey Tina. Hey Tina, how you doing? Thanks for joining me, Tina. I think I might have sent Tina a message on Facebook. There we go. Thanks. I'll just put thanks on there. So we didn't have disclosure. That's a great shame, as I said. It's Obama had his chance. Obama had his last chance to be the disclosure president, and he was not. I'm afraid I have a cough this evening, ladies and gentlemen. And then I sent this letter to Donald Trump. Okay, just to let you know, I just said here, Dear Mr. President, congratulations on your election to the office of President of the United States. I'm not American, but if I were, I would have voted for you because I believe that when you say you want what's best for your country and the world, you mean it. Unlike your opponent Hillary Clinton, you are not lying, you are being sincere. You now have a unique opportunity like no other statesman on earth. You can become the greatest leader the United States of America has ever known, or you could become just one more puppet on the strings of the hidden forces that control your nation and the world, just like the monotonous, pathetic array that came before you, dragging America down to total collapse so it can be absorbed into a totalitarian one-world government. Your predecessor, Dwight Eisenhower's last act as president was to warn the American people about the dangers of the military-industrial complex. If only it had been his first act. You may be aware of this already, or you may not, but I'm going to tell you anyway just in case. There is a malevolent cabal secretly ruling America and the world beyond it. This cabal cannot be identified demographically. Its members are both male and female, black, brown, white, Catholic, Anglican and Hindu outwardly. You are neither complicit nor are you a fool. Therefore you cannot fail to have understood that the 9/11 attacks were not the work of 19 men armed with hardware tools. The destruction of the World Trade Center and the damage to the Pentagon was the work of a resourceful and powerful conspiracy of criminals operating from inside your country. And they have access to weapons of a destructive yield way beyond anything the militaries of the globe are openly armed with. You must also understand that the unidentified flying objects that are commonly reported in the airspaces of the world are in truth artifacts of an extraterrestrial civilization. The cabal knows this because those artifacts have come to grief on the Earth's surface and have been secretly salvaged. The most famous of these incidents took place in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. The cabal has studied the debris and has probably worked out the power plants and propulsion system of these craft. The knowledge could provide free, clean, safe and unlimited energy for all people forever, abolishing poverty and environmental destruction. Will you, as President, work towards the declassification of the secret information on UFOs? Will you endeavour to apprehend the real mass murderers who perpetrated 9/11? The same goes for the many other conspiracy theories that I don't have time to detail in this letter. But you can discover for yourself. This is the choice that lies before you. As President-elect, you have yet to be sworn into office to carry out your governmental projects. This was before his inauguration. But you also have yet to make any mistakes. This is a very fertile window of opportunity for you. You have just over 4 days to sit and think about what I'm saying here. Not only do you have a choice, Mr. President, but you have a duty to do what is right by the American people. You therefore already know what you must do. The question really is, have you got the courage? If you do the right thing, you will go down in history forever as one of those who transformed the world from a hellhole into a paradise. You will never be forgotten, nor will people ever stop paying homage to your name. Alternatively, you can chicken out. You can do what Hillary Clinton has already been doing her whole life, along with her crooked husband, and serve the agenda of the malevolent cabal. You can be just another cut-out copy of the suited bureaucrat who nods his head and signs away the planet's future. In which case, not only will you receive no gratitude from your satanic masters, you will be reviled by the world, along with all the other traitors, the heartless, gutless, brainless administrators of doom, into which you will seamlessly blend. If you are a man of honour, decency and bravery that I hope you are, you will make the right decision. Therefore, I must give you a word of warning. If you take the right path, you will meet obstacles and fierce opposition. Another of your predecessors, John F. Kennedy, took the right path and his enemies assassinated him. They might try to do the same to you, and you must take precautions to protect yourself and your family. We conspiracy theorists will do everything we can to protect and defend you from our side. The future of the world is all in your hands. It's up to you. Good luck. Benjamin Jones. Well, I don't know if he even opened the letter, to be honest, because he's certainly not acting as someone who appears to have taken notice of what I say, and in all kinds of ways, he has turned out not to be the president that I thought he would be. I did a video on VidMe, one of my early VidMe videos called "The Counter-Trumpening," where I say, this is a kind of it is a backtrack, and it's a real shame that happened. But anyway, I've got to say hello to more people in the chat box. Tina is there, and Jamie Fem, and Happy New Year, Jamie. Neptune returns, hello. Mark Devlin doesn't believe in UFOs and is a flat earther. I don't think is he? Mark Devlin? Are you sure, Neptune? Trump is the Donald. Tim Alf. At least a few government UFO UAP videos have come to light. Yes. I'll be saying some more about that in a minute because that's very interesting. Happy New Year from... Oh, Chris and Magda. Hey, Chris and Magda. How are you? And Tina said, the info trickle has begun. A dike will break completely all too soon. I hope so, Tina. I really do. Because, you know, I feel my patience wearing thin. You know, I really do. Oh, but anyway. Right. So, anyway, he's done a lot of other things, Trump, that leads me to think that he's being co-opted. Should I have the sherry or should I have some of this? Have some dragon juice. And I know there's people, I get into arguments with people in the truth movement. The same comes with Brexit. They will say, oh, but he was intended to be president. It's all part of the plan, you see. Same with Brexit, you know. They make it look like it's not what they want to do, but it is really. And it is just a deeper, more crafty, more subtle part of the New World Order agenda. And I have some debates with people like that. Now, it's actually true that Trump appears to have been managed. They found a way to contain Trump within the White House. I don't believe that him becoming president was what they intended to do. I don't believe that. I think that they wanted him. They wanted Clinton. They wanted Hillary. However, since he got into the White House, they found a way to manage him, shall we say. They found a way to contain him. And that is basically what they've been doing. I mean, it's a strange thing. I mean, last year I was talking about this. I was talking about the springtime in Narnia thing, because we had Brexit and we had Trump. And I mean, I did wonder if this was the beginning of the end. But it may be. I mean, what Tina just said, it may be true, and I hope she's right. All the best. Hey Phuket, how are you? And Tink Tink, hello, Happy New Year. I hope Tina's right when she says the info trickle has begun. The dike will break completely soon. I really do hope so. However, it's not going to happen. The 2016 effect. I think the honeymoon is over there, and that basically. It's the Empire. This is the year where the Empire strikes back. All we can hope for is that next year will be Return of the Jedi. That's what I'm hoping for 2018. That's what I'm sort of like holding myself for this New Year's Eve, and I'm hoping and praying for that. That's my New Year's wish and my New Year's resolution. Hey, it's Tiberius Kirk. The ZX Radio War. Hey, Happy New Year to you. I'll say a few words about Capel Green in a little while. That is some good things. That's one of the good things about New Year. At least in 2018, we're getting Capel Green. What's Capel Green, you might ask? I'll tell you all about it in a minute. Well then, where are we? Right, just get some more dragon juice. Ugh. Anyway, I don't go anywhere without this. Alright, so I've got some sherry as well. I can't just drink squash all evening on New Year's Eve, can I? Hey John, Happy New Year, John. Oh, pale cream. Very nice indeed. So, and of course I'd done, Tony Blair and Richard Dawkins started speaking out about Brexit. We had this anti-Brexit movement. Oh God, that was awful. Do you remember, I did a couple of videos on VidMe about that, primarily on VidMe, but I did some stuff on VidMe about the anti-Brexit movement. Yeah, we had. Just one moment. Just find my notes. Yeah, because I got to the point where I was actually reconsidering voting because I'd always boycotted elections. I got into an argument with this guy called Another Angry Voice. You know, a Yorkshire blogger called Another Angry Voice, Yeah, he was. But I was actually reconsidering. I was thinking, because Ian R. Crane, who I've got a lot of respect for, he's primarily anti-fracking guy. He was saying, like, we have to engage the political process, engage in the game, things like that. And I was saying, well, there's no point. And I explained why. Because I was boycotting elections because I believe that the whole electoral system was set up deliberately to subvert genuine people on genuine individuals and genuine political movements. It's essentially a scam. Now, when this happened, when the 2016 effect kicked in, I began thinking, well, look, if these power structures in the world really are flailing about the way they are, and they haven't had a call from head office for a long time, could that be? Maybe it is worth voting. Maybe it is actually, because then maybe for the first time we're in a position where voting can actually do some good. But, well, I'm sort of like almost come full circle now, because things have changed since then, haven't they? But anyway, I was thinking about Trump. I mean, what they did to Trump. I mean, there's all kinds of things they could have done to Trump. I mean, he has a big family. He has his wife, his young wife Melania, his children, his grandchildren. Who knows what they threatened to do to them? He loves them very much. Trump is a non-establishment figure. Well, he was. He came out of the. I mean, I know he was a millionaire businessman, but he wasn't politically connected or powerful in any way. He came out of that because people wanted someone different. It's what, in a derogatory sense, is called populism. And he rode this tide of so-called populism to become president, and against and the powers that be threw everything they could at him, and they stopped him. And sorry, they couldn't stop him. I mean, even though he was on the Republican ticket, I mean, most of his party have denounced him. So essentially, he's a de facto independent candidate. Yeah, they could have threatened him. I mean, I got a feeling maybe they did what Bill Hicks talks about. When when the president's elected, they take you down into a basement when there's a darkened room. They show you a film of the Kennedy assassination. But that's not the Zapruder film. It's from another angle. It's from the angle of the grassy knoll. And then they turn to him and they say, "Any questions, Mr. President?" These guys in dark suits, you know. And he says, "Oh, only what my agenda is." So, yeah, that's one of the things that's one of the Empire Strikes Back type moments, I think. Which is a shame. Yeah, we got Article 50. Now, I've done several videos about Brexit in 2016. About how, again, I think Brexit was something that was not intended by the powers that be. And I get into debates with people in the truth movement that said, "Ben, how could you be fooled so easily? This is just another twist in the game. This is just another scam. It's another layer of the deception." And I was, and I explain why I don't think that's the case. I know there are layers in deception, and I know sometimes things happen which appear to be what we want, and it's not. It's what they want. But this isn't one of them, and I explained why. It's like my T-shirt, by the way. It's from a WakeCon. Can you see my T-shirt there? Can you see that? Okay, yeah. That's a WakeCon. This is conference I went to called a WakeCon, and there's some videos there, and you can watch those. They're on Taj Investigates, Tajinder Gill's channel. And Teenage Bill Hicks rules, yeah. Beehive yourself. Hello, beehive yourself. So we got here. Oh, hey, who else has joined us today? Oh, Diego Vieira, vote Bellamy Jones. The Bigfoot Party. I know. There's no such thing as. I know. I've got debates with you, haven't I, about Bigfoot? I will be doing a comments reply video within the next couple of days. Okay, I know you've left me some comments. A lot of you have. I will be replying to them. Hello, behave yourself. Cameron made a gamble hoping to shoot the UKIP Fox, but it backfired. Yes, Cameron, I think, wanted to head off the UKIP vote, and this was the way he did it. Cameron, hence Piggate. Yeah. I'm a genius, am I, Diego Vieira? Oh, thank you. Even though I believe in Bigfoot, I'm still a genius. So, yeah, but we did get Article 50 was triggered. That's the thing. Firstly, the government did say Brexit was going to be rock hard. There was going to be no half Brexit, or I can't believe it's not Brexit. Brexit light, micro Brexit. No, it was out. And Brexit was going to be rock hard. We were going to set up our own bilateral trade deals with independent states, etc., etc. And despite all these horrible people, David Lammy, Ms. Gina Miller, people like that, it failed. So we had Article 50. Article 50 was triggered in the non-SJW sense on the 29th of March, which means basically they now have 2 years. They've got until the 29th of March 2019 to sort it out, to prevent basically the European Commission dictating the terms completely. And there is still oh my God, Sargon of Akkad is live. Oh dear, this year is stupid. Oh great, I can't compete with him, can I? I should keep my mouth shut. Suddenly all my views are gone. Sargon of Akkad's gone. Oh, I've all got to see him. Mike Ermintrout says no half measures, exactly. The Bill. Hey Bill, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, so we got Article 50 triggered. And I thought, I really did think, I did breathe a sigh of relief when that happened, because I didn't think it would happen. I honestly began to really doubt that they're going to go through with it. They were going to find some way to wangle us out of it, and they haven't given up. They really haven't. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a minute, actually, because there's another example. Then we had the general election, but that was in June. Oh, that was embarrassing. Because Theresa May thought she had it in the bag. She was just facing the unelectable Jeremy Corbyn. And, well, it ended up with a hung parliament. And she ended up forming an alliance with the Democratic Unionist Party, this is a party set up by Ian Paisley, the Right Reverend Ian Paisley, in 1971. A man with a louder voice than everybody else in Northern Ireland put together. And this group, this organisation, is more like a religious cult than a political party, and it's a very, very hardline Ulster loyalist, and it refused to condemn the Dublin and Monaghan bombing. This was one of the worst atrocities of the Troubles. It happened in 1974. 33 people were killed in Dublin and in County Monaghan it was blamed on the Ulster Volunteer Force and the Ulster Defence Association. All the people killed were innocent. They were not involved in the Troubles. Paisley never condemned it. His party never condemned it. And these are the people now in bed with Theresa May and the government. And that's the only way they've managed to create a majority like that. I mean, the Tories have done this before. They've affiliated themselves to the Ulster Unionist Party. But the UUP is far less radical than the DUP. And this was just after there was a massive tabloid scandal calling Jeremy Corbyn an IRA supporter, and they all had to go quiet because Jeremy Corbyn said he wasn't an IRA supporter, he just believed in negotiating with Sinn Féin, which is kind of the hardline Republican Catholic nationalist side of the Troubles, and but he never once, I think, did Jeremy Corbyn suggest forming an alliance with Sinn Féin. Oh dear, she completely blew it. Now, another thing about the DUP, they have links to the Orange Order, which is a Masonic-like secret society, and one of their members was a guy called Andrew Power, who wrote a really amazing book called Ireland, Land of the Pharaohs, that I very much recommend. But I'll tell you what, somebody, who was saying about, in chat, someone just mentioned something in chat. Is anyone else in chat? Chat. Well hung, says Tina. Yeah, I know, my eyes are watering. Do I know anything about Project Bluebeam, says Anthony. Can it be used to stage a fake alien invasion? I think so. It's essentially a creation, I believe this was also used on 9/11, of creating images in the sky. And it's not hard to do, actually. It's nothing science fictional about it. I've seen laser light shows creating very realistic three-dimensional images in the sky in Thorpe Park when I was a kid in the 80s. Woody Black says, blimey, Sargon's let himself go. Stop watching Sargon, Woody. Come back to me. Now, so yeah, I mean, so these things all happen, and they weren't all intended. I mean, there's still a situation now where there's a threat to Brexit from Scotland. There's some bloody foolish bunch of 7 MPs have got together, and various other politicians, MEPs, politicians, and they're trying to put a case through what's called the Court of Sessions, which is the equivalent of the English High Court, which they hope will amend Article 50, which will allow it to be reversed. And if they're successful, it'll go forward to the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg. If they amend Article 50, what they're hoping to do is reverse the process and stop Britain leaving the EU. And it's just we're never going to be able to relax, not until we're literally out in every way it's possible to be out. Because the moment we let our guard down, these Ramonas, they pounce. I went to a party with my dad the other night. Now, my dad has a guy he knows. He's a friend of his. It was actually his boss when my dad's retired now. But this chap is one of Oxford's biggest Ramonas. He actually writes stuff for the newspaper, for the local newspapers about the EU and about how bloody wonderful it is, and no, we must never be allowed to leave. And I went to this party. I was polite to him, but I was thinking, oh God, bloody Ramonas. Anyway, I'm going to name them. This is all public, so there's nothing wrong with naming and shaming this less than magnificent 7. They are various MPs. There's some Labour, SNP, Green, Green MEP, members of the European Parliament, Scottish Parliament, and Westminster Parliament. They are. Where are they? Christine Jardine, who seems to be the ringleader. Joanna Cherry, David Martin, Catherine Styler, Andy Whiteman, Ross Greer, and Alan Smith. If you live in anywhere that's governed by these people, just kick their asses out first opportunity. Vote for the raving loonies if you have to. Just kick their treacherous, ramoning, dictatorial bottoms out into the street where they belong. These bureaucrats, again and again, they display their contempt for the British people, especially the white working class. As Polly Toynbee said, we're a bunch of white van drivers. See, the left love democracy, don't they? But only when it's going their way. When it doesn't go their way, they hate it. And they turn against it and they prefer dictatorship. Oh, so back in... we have some more questions. Right. Emperor Mong, hello! There may be a real alien invasion, Tina says. I don't know. Oh, 33 are watching. That's good. Is that Sargon on me? Is that Sargon of Akkad? Only 33. I'm beating Sargon of Akkad in the ratings. Well, Tina, I mean, it's always possible. There are, who knows? We just know so little about the extraterrestrials, what their motives are. They seem to, I mean, in terms of contact experiences, they seem to exhibit a wide variety of behaviours. They seem to have lots of different kinds of motives. Some people talk about that they're all good, they're all bad. No, there seems to be a mixture. The majority, luckily, seem to be sort of neutral. There are a few, though, that are hostile. Emperor Mong. Hi, Emperor Mong. How are you? Now, John Daniels says they may be beings from other dimensions. Yeah, well, they may well be. I mean, the thing is, when we say extraterrestrials, all I'm saying by that is that they are an intelligence which is of a non-human variety that doesn't come from this earth or is not human. Maybe they're interdimensional, maybe they're crypto-terrestrials. They actually live here with us on the earth and our paths have never crossed. Maybe they're interdimensional, things like that. Well, there's all kinds of different theories. Richard Dolan and Bryce Zabel in their book AD After Disclosure have listed them. Paul Armstrong. Hello, Paul. I noticed you weren't in chat last night during the radio show. And Tina says, I think the aliens see us as cute kittens. They like to keep us around, but some like to stomp on them. Yeah, I know. And sometimes they may take us to the vet to be neutered or even put to sleep. Ian Bennett. Hi Ian. Ian, you're always inviting me to your live streams, and I'm sorry I've not been on one. But thanks for the invitations. I will hopefully go on one at some time. But yeah, so but that brings us neatly onto the subject of UFOs and what has happened in the world of UFOs during 2017. Right. Well, an awful lot actually, and someone in the chat box has already mentioned this, and it doesn't surprise me because this is very, very important. This happened just recently. But a lot of I'll go back to February. It all kicks off in February when a load of Ministry of Defence articles were released, and Ministry of Defence files that showed that Winston Churchill, the most famous British Prime Minister, had an interest in UFOs, and he wrote several articles for science magazines and newspapers, which were never published. But he wrote several letters that were published. And he understood things about life in space, about the Goldilocks zone, which is where a planet must be in relation to its star, during this narrow gap with water, where water can be in liquid form, where it's not too hot, then it turns to vapour, it's not too cold, it turns to ice, which is what we see in our solar system. That's what happens to water. But it turns out that he was very concerned about UFOs, Churchill, and in 1942, this is during the World War II, he set up a special committee to investigate them. This is many, many years. This was almost a decade before Project Grudge and Project Sign in the United States. So this is a real X-Files style project, and it was active for a long time too. He kept it going until the 1950s. Now, this was triggered by the RAF bomber crews announcing, connecting their stories with Foo Fighters. Now, we've heard about Foo Fighters. It's been well known. A lot of pilots have reported them during the war. This shows that the government was aware of this and was taking them seriously. And what's really strange about this UFO situation, it sets, I think, a precedent for what might inspire the truth embargo in later years. So if Stephen Bassett should take an interest in this, is that the documents also reveal that Churchill wanted the phenomenon to be classified for as long as possible, because he was concerned that it might cause mass panic if released. Now, this was in the 1940s. This is during World War II, which was when the British public coped very calmly with the Blitz, with U-boats, with rationing, with their sons dying in foreign fields. And we cope with that very, very bravely and stoically. This is very, 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 very strange that despite that, Churchill thought that UFOs would cause mass panic in Britain, which shows how frightened he was by the prospect. So that's the most interesting part of these UFO files that were released. It really was. So, more sherry, I think. Is someone playing around? You were talking about stomping on kittens. Oh. That's it. Right, here we go. Do you think there might be a relation? Says Orbs and UFOs, said Emperor Mong. Yes, I mean, do you remember my video with Nick Hayes, The Invisibles? Yes, I think there is a connection between orbs and UFO. Orbs might be a type of UFO. And John down, a Larry Enfield Paul Whitehouse sketch. Is that is that like the they were funny, those guys. What's it called? The Fast Show. Yeah. Now, Baconland. Hey, Baconland. NASA has dwarf quantum computers looking for other planets right now. Well, is that so? I mean, I know that they've just announced that they've got like they're using Google to help them find planets. And that's very interesting. That came out just a couple of weeks before Christmas. And Phuket says there are no other planets. There are, Phuket. There are at least 70% of all stars have planets. A dainty glass. I'm very sophisticated this evening, Tina. I thought I'd get hold of a proper sherry glass just for once. You drink sherry too, do you, Phuket? Nice for you. I don't often, but it's. I thought, well, why not? Cheap and strong white. This white lightning. Phuket, you've been spying on me, haven't you? You've been spying on me, old son, haven't you? Well, yeah, I've. But no, I've got some more. I have some more. I tend to go a bit out of market at New Year. I really do. So we carry on with the UFO situation. Now there was this ridiculous bloody farce of these documents were released that were supposedly the new MJ12 ones. They weren't. They were just a joke. But then Anonymous did this video about how NASA was about to declare disclosure. Now the problem with Anonymous is, by their very nature, they are anonymous. So anyone can put on the mask and the hood, sit in front of a camera, and speak in a modulated voice and say, we are anonymous and we think the earth is flat, or anything like that. And then unfortunately that becomes the position of anonymous. That's the problem. But there was an awful lot of stuff happened. I mean, what happened was, I mean, this refers to, someone's already brought this up in the Spurg chat, but there was a week in which all kinds of strange things happened. NASA did this press conference, but they talked about the Kepler Space Observatory. Now I did wonder if they might be going to say something about Tabby Star. I've mentioned Tabby Star in previous videos. This is a star which appears it might have a Dyson sphere around it, an artificial structure, indicating that it has a sophisticated, or at some point it had a sophisticated, intelligent population of some kind of creature. But it turns out that what they were going to say was, what it turned out was that they were using Google, as someone already said here in the chat box. They weren't. I don't know if they're quantum computers. Maybe they do have quantum computers. You know, that's quite possible. Someone said they have quantum computers. Well, they were using Google, NASA, and the Kepler scientists to hunt down planets. And they found loads of these planets. These are exoplanets. These are planets that orbit another star, not the Earth, not the Sun. And they found a planet. They found a planet that had 8. They found an 8th planet around a single star, which means that beats the Earth's record, because the Earth and the Sun has 8 major planets and a load of minor planets as well. And they found a star which had 8 major planets. I've got a cough as well, I should warn you. And old Trumpy, that very same day he went to NASA and he did a speech. He did a speech about the future role of space exploration. He was surrounded by officials in suits, space veterans in astronauts' uniforms, and he said that the United States of America will be returning to the moon with a new manned mission at some point in the future. Haha. Yes. Now that's a bit different to John F. Kennedy. Now, he said at some point in the future. He didn't set a deadline for it, because Kennedy did. In 1961, he said that before the decade is out, the country should send a man to the moon and to return him safely to Earth. This was just after the Sputnik launch and the Yuri Gagarin, and the Soviet Union basically leapt ahead in the space race. America needed to catch up. And America did that, or was seen to do that, with just 5 months to spare. July 20th, 1969. Apollo 11 landed on the moon. Yet, 50 years later, with an expanding budget and 21st century technology, what can Trump say? At some point in the future, we will send someone to the moon. God. I mean, I'm going to... Please keep an eye on her Panmo radio this coming year, because I'm getting Marcus Allen back on. Because Marcus Allen has done several shows with me, because it is the 50th anniversary of Apollo 8, which is the first manned mission to the moon. They didn't land, but they flew around it with some astronauts on board. And the Trumpster also made a comment about the military applications of space exploration, which is very sinister. That the weaponization of space, as Werner von Braun said to Carol Rosin. So that's a bit worrying. Now, there was that asteroid. Now that's very interesting. Do you know about the interstellar asteroid? Someone mentioned it in chat. Yeah. Yes, there was this interstellar asteroid. asteroid. Happy New Year. Hey, chill. Happy New Year. Emperor Monk says, apparently space travel will be impossible because of all the garbage floating around the Earth. That's right. Space junk. They're trying to find a way of sorting it out, and it's really, really difficult. But there's this real issue with space junk. Anthony Morn says, do you know who Val Valiant Thor is, Ben? Oh, yeah, he used to run a website in the early days of the internet. Loads of conspiracy stuff on it. Very, very good. But it was sort of like quite inspirational, actually. And so... Then, I mean, there's this asteroid. Now, someone got me this. This is a cutout from a newspaper. From a distant solar system, I pray every day that super intelligent aliens will come to Earth and save us from self-destruction. So when an 800-meter long cylinder-shaped object, cigar-shaped object was found to be hurtled into our solar system, I felt a stirring of hope. Now, this was a Muamua. Now, this is the world's first interstellar asteroid. Now, I do space weather every week on Hapanua Radio. If you listen regularly, you'll know that. And I was very excited by this because there's all kinds of asteroids flying past the Earth. But these are in orbit around the Sun. This was not in orbit around the Sun. I don't do this European stuff. It was about 1,200 feet long and about 100 feet across. It was basically cigar-shaped. Now, there's no natural object that shape that I'm aware of. It's an extremely unusual shape indeed. And it was dark red in colour as well, which also was very unusual. And there was some discussion about that maybe it was artificial. It was an artificial object and not natural. And SETI had this mission where they turned... This is what I thought might... There may be something about this with the... oh, Sweeps! Hey, Sweeps! Check out what I'm trying to get you to understand above, Ben. Okay, I'll scroll up, Sweeps. Okay, I hope you're having a good Christmas, Sweeps. Okay, good flow of rhetoric, Ben. Happy New Year. Don't forget to inform Sam that Laura Allen never got back to me. Why Probe won't have me, so Glenn. Right, I don't... Sweeps, I honestly... I have no idea what's going on with Probe at the moment. All I know is that Sam and Paul are doing their own things now. And I don't know why. I don't know what went wrong, because there was a great conference in October, which I'm sorry you couldn't get to that. And I understand I knew you were away, but I thought that's how it was going to carry on. And then suddenly I find out that there's two separate conferences now. And Paul's doing one in October and Sam's doing one in spring. And I'm at the spring one anyway. I'm speaking at the spring one. That's all I know. But so Sweeps, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out more at the time. But we'll look into it. I know you sent me some emails which I haven't replied to yet. I'm sorry about that. I've got a few bit of catching up to do on things. I've got to do a comments reply video as well. But this thing here, this article, it talks about this. And it mentions something that I was interested in. There was a book called Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. It's a fictional book, but so much of what Arthur C. Clarke talks about comes true. I was very worried about the Cassini probe as well. I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. But the Cassini probe, Baconland, they never went to the moon. No, they did. Baconland, you're right. If they went to the moon, they went to the secret space program. But anyway, Rendezvous with Rama was this book about this alien spacecraft. A cylindrical-shaped object comes flying through the solar system. And it looked like this was going to come true. But SETI turned their telescopes on this thing, and they couldn't hear any transmissions from it. Yeah, Clarke had his eyes wide shut. Well, Tina, Arthur C. Clarke was a good friend of Stanley Kubrick, as I'm sure you know. And they worked on the 2001: A Space Odyssey. The film was not an adaptation of the book. The book and the film were written together as a collaboration. Clarke did the book, Kubrick did the film, and they were both released in 1968 at the same time. So yeah, I mean, he had contacts, Arthur C. Clarke. But anyway, SETI haven't picked up any transmissions coming from this thing, but that doesn't mean there's not more weird stuff about it. And it'd be great if they could send us like a rocket after it. It's going very fast, but there's talk about sending a spacecraft after it. I'm not sure I trust, because once you get into the realm of space probes, you get in the realm of the control of information coming through NASA, and then it can be covered up. Things in SETI can't be covered up, as I said in my video about SETI, but things from NASA can be. Now, Tom Tremaine says, give us some examples of what Clarke has spoken about that's come true, please. Okay, well, firstly, you read his early books, and they have things such as communication satellites, which are a common part of today's world. There's one called, he wrote in the 70s, called Imperial Earth, where you have like this internet-like structure. And then there was a strange case of the planet Jupiter, in which there was a big black spot appeared on it. This happened after a craft crashed into it. A real craft, the Galileo space probe in 1997, I believe, crashed into it. And it created this big black spot. And this is why I was very worried about the Cassini probe at Saturn. Sweep says, laugh. What went wrong? Paul didn't want to do the Mars probe. Okay. Yeah, well, it's oh dear. Okay, Sweeps. Well, I'll have words with you about that maybe in private, but yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mess. I don't know what's going on. Emperor Mong says, aliens, liberals or conservative? You know, you're starting to, you've been watching my Stefan Molyneux video about UFOs, haven't you? Stefan Molyneux says, well, how come they didn't? He goes, there's no shopping mall in space, so that means they must be socialists. Yeah, that's right, Bacon. Yeah, Clarke was an inventor as well as everything else. Aliens from the Green Party. Yeah, I know. I'm sure Caroline Lucas is one of them. You know, she's got that alien look to her. So I'll come on to the Cassini thing later. But anyway, this is where we come on to what someone's already mentioned in the Spurg chat. Ufology. Everything's going crazy in ufology. We had a big release saying that the official government position on UFOs, which was released in 2011 in their disclosure petition, was that they just have no interest in it and they're not doing anything about it. Complete denial. So they're having a party upstairs at the moment. And then they revealed, oh no, actually we had a classified UFO research program running from 2007 to 2012. This was 40 years after they officially stopped investigating UFOs. They stopped investigating UFOs when they shut down Project Blue Book, because basically, oh, there's nothing to see here, sorry. And this was a project that had an annual budget of £15 million. It was run by someone called Harry Reid, who was a senator from Nevada, USA, where Area 51 is. And he was assisted by a guy called Luis Elizondo. Now, this is one of Tom DeLonge's friends, one of his buddies that he's got together with to do these various presentations. But it was weird because he was on a radio show. There was a radio show where they had two ufologists. They had Leslie Kane and Cheryl Costa. And then suddenly, this Department of Defense official, Luis Elizondo, comes onto there saying, oh yeah, we had this event Harry Reid was organising. Robert Bigelow was involved. Now, Robert Bigelow is like a household name in our community. He's a millionaire businessman who spent an awful lot on, I think it was what's his organisation called? Is it Nightcap? What's it called? What's Bigelow's group called? But anyway, Bigelow was helping. He was assisting with this covert government program. Now, Bigelow funded a lot of paranormal and UFO research. In fact, he did a major project at this place called Skinwalker Ranch, which is really fascinating. There's an amazing book written about that. There's a film which is not so good, but thanks to Bigelow, it became a major project where it wouldn't have otherwise. They wouldn't have had the funding to do a proper investigation. Now, what Elizondo announced when he was on the show, and they actually played this on a TV program at the same time, was a video which was filmed in 2004 aboard a US Navy fighter jet, and it shows this strange object in the sky. This is something that the government, they say the US Navy have been tracking for a couple of weeks, and they sent these aircraft up to deal with it off the coast of San Diego. And you can see this film, and this object is a black thing, it's rotating, and the pilots say it's not of this world. One of the pilots has commented to the media saying it's not of this world. Now he's a US Navy pilot, He's one of the top guns, you know. He's doing a job where he has to be able to recognise aircraft. Let's face it. And Nick Pope decided to comment. He said, it's an extraordinary revelation, not least because it directly contradicts the many specific details that the US government has issued previously when asked about this subject and their involvement in it. The take-home message here is that there's probably something out there, but we don't know what it is. It's not often I agree with Nick Pope, but all this came out within a week of each other, right? This was really quite unprecedented. Now, none of these particular stories in themselves are revolutionary in nature, but put them all together, they're dumped on us in such a large volume over such a short space of time. It was really quite something quite extraordinary, I thought. It really was. Now, what's people said here? We have some more comments. Yeah, I'll just go. Thanks for all the comments, guys. There we are. Why would you expect a satellite to be visible in front of the moon? Just John Daniel. Well, it would be. Well, I'm not sure what I understand. Can do wonders with computers. CGI fakery these days. Well, we wouldn't know the difference. Maybe not. Tina Silk. I think Gary McKinnon was seeded from alien stock. He does look a bit odd, doesn't he, Tina? Gary. He has a strange look about him. His face is... I mean, he may well be. He may well be. I haven't learned any more about this, by the way. That thing on my arm, which I talked about in a previous video. I haven't learned any more about that. Basically, I've got an implant. That's a long story, but I didn't look at my previous videos about that. I've got an implant. It's one of the UFO disclosure ones. I can't remember which one. Rab MC32, MCM32. The Earth is a realm. Gateways exist to other worlds, but in a more spiritual sense. You know. He looks like because he's got Asperger's, says Emperor Monk. I don't think Asperger's syndrome. It doesn't. I don't think it affects your physical appearance anyway. It's a mental condition, as Tina rightly says. There's Theoria apophasia. I don't know what that is. Bacon. Right, I'm just going through some of these. I'll answer. Bardi Films. Hey, Bardi. Loving your stream. Good to see you. Happy New Year, Bardi. You know my logo that you see at the start and end of my various movies. Bardi Films designed that for me. He's a really good job there. The Age of Aquarius was hijacked by the military-industrial complex, says Phuket. I can well believe, yeah, maybe. Where are we? Go back a bit. Didn't John Neal look at the footage and say it was all fake? Which footage? So I think Tink Tink's not addressing me. I think they're addressing somebody else in the chat. Oh, it's satellites. Pope, the junior office clerk. Says Tiberius Kirk. He hates it, Pope, when you say that to him. I was not just an office clerk. I was not a clerk. I was an investigator. I was Britain's Fox Mulder. I had a car like James Bond. Yeah, the thing is, Nick, if you don't want people to think you're an office clerk, don't dress like one. Don't wear that stupid brown suit and get some more trendy glasses. Right. What do I think about Tom Tremaine says? What do I think about Stephen Greer's claims about UFOs and ET life, Ben? I think he's right in many ways. I think he's wrong when he says, because he seems to believe that these aliens are all kind of like they're kind of Maitreya's and spiritual leaders and things like that. As I said, they're not, and Kerry Cassidy quite rightly pulled Greer up on this. The extraterrestrials exhibit a wide variety of behaviours, and they seem to have many different kinds of motives and attitudes. So as Kerry Cassidy said, it's irresponsible of him just to say, "Oh, they're all good people. They're all good people." They're all good. Only people are bad. Oh, according to Greer, this was it, right? If people had unpleasant contact experiences with hostile ETs, Greer would say, "Well, that's just a little bit of that's just stagecraft by the government." Yet, if you had a pleasant experience with UFOs, oh, that's real. That was the general rule. And Baconland, I'm so glad you're finally doing Hangouts. Happy 2018 to you. Thanks, Baconland. And that's really pleased because thanks very much because it took me a long time to get this working actually. I've got this software I use, Wirecast, and it's all right. It took me. It's a bit awkward. I don't know why there isn't some house application on YouTube itself. You just press a button and you just go live. I don't know why YouTube can't do that. I mean, you used to be able to record live off the webcam on YouTube. You can't do that anymore. Thinking, who's the sad person who puts a thumbs down on everything? There's always one, isn't there? Well, there's two actually. There's two regular ones, and I know who they are too. I know who they are as well. Whenever I do, Tiberius Kirkwood will know what I'm talking about here. But whenever I do when I did my video about Larry Warren, there's always 4 thumbs down, and we know who those 4 people are. So, Ben, what do you think of John Keel and his conclusions? Says John Daniel. Very interesting chap. I've read. He's got several. I've read 2 of his books actually. One is called The Mothman Prophecies. The other is called Operation Trojan Horse, and they're both very, very good indeed. And I think he has an awful lot to say. There's big implications for ufology here. The connection to other paranormal phenomena, this interdimensional element, I think is a part of this, and it ties in with what Jenny Randalls talks about when she mentions the Oz factor. Oh, so we have another David Schultz. Hi, David. Greetings, Ben. Wishing you a healthy and happy 2018. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever conversed with Stanton Friedman? He's an expert on the subject of UFOs. Yes, I have, David. In fact, if you go to Hapanmo Radio, I've got an interview with him. I think it's a program I did. It's part of my Citizen Hearing series on Hapanmo Radio. Just Google his name. You'll find it on Hapanmo Radio. Danger Mouse's sidekick, Nick. That's Penfold. Yeah, Penfold. Yes, it did. Oh, Tom Tremaine, the Kerry Greer head-to-head. Yeah, that was an amazing debate, that was. That was a classic, that was. UFOs are a psyop. No, they're not. I've been through this with you, Baconland, I think when I did the comments reply videos. Have you got a spare bottle of sherry? It's going to be a long night. Well, I'm still on my first glass, but I'll fill it up in a minute, actually, Phuket, definitely. Kev Baker, the Kev Baker Show. Hey Kev, Happy New Year to you. And Tom Tremaine, first time listener. So refreshing to have so balanced during a live stream. Oh, thanks Tom. Tom has subscribed. Thank you very much. Val Valiant Thor. Yeah, he did this website, a very good website about various conspiracies and things. Yeah, check this out. Hi, check this out. Check this out was in the Christmas stream along with several other people. Hey, how you doing? Happy New Year, Kev. Great to see you, mate. Great to see you. Okay, so we'll move on now. Where are we? Tom DeLonge. Several people, mostly on the radio side of things, have asked me what I think about Tom DeLonge, and why haven't I said more about him? Well, I'm not sure because I was going through an awful lot more. My book, when he did his big press conference, my book was just coming out. That's my Roswell Revealed, and it was a bit. That really took precedent over everything, so I kind of missed that. And then by the time that was over, I mean, he'd been on the Joe Rogan Experience, and I was like, I listened to that, and I started thinking about what he was saying. Now, he's got in touch with several people, including Luis Elizondo, the guy from the Department of Defense. Also, there's several CIA people. There's Hal Puthoff, who was one of the analysts of Uri Geller, who was involved in psychic research. It was remote viewing and psychic research for the Stanford Research Institute. And they've set up this thing called the To the Stars Academy, which is... It remains to be seen what it's like, but I mean, I can't help feeling it's a bit suspicious. And I'm wondering if it's some sort of psyop, because there's no stated real goals or intentions of this organisation apart to create media which might lead to disclosure. I mean, there's none of this. Oh well, this is what's happening. This is it. We're in this. This guy's in the CIA. This guy's in the Department of Defense. This guy's in NASA. So I'm kind of like, so Anthony Moore. So Val Valiant Thor. Sorry, I've got him mixed up. Have I, Anthony? Okay. was the being who came to us try and find an IBM computer. All right. Now, Chris Ismoff has said, do you think the latest revolutionary activities in Iran is a CIA operation like in 1953 when they got rid of Mossadegh, or maybe Soros or Mossad MI6? Chris, it's only just basically come on the news, but it does look suspiciously like that. I mean, let's if you look at the source of the Arab Spring, for example, there's definitely connections with Soros and his group, which is connected, ties in with Mossad. And the whole Libya thing is a very obvious setup, because if you remember, David Shayler actually predicted that this would happen when he was on the run after being basically he blew the whistle and he was on the run. But David Shayler said, look, they want to bring down Gaddafi in Libya, and they're going to use radical Islamists to do it, and they're funding radical Islamists to carry out terrorist attacks in Libya. Eventually there's going to be like a civil war in Libya, and they're going to take over. And that happened, didn't it? It happened a few years later. So, Chris, yes, it wouldn't surprise me, I mean, they did. Mohammad Mossadegh was a democratically elected secular leader of Iran. In 1953, he was removed by basically a CIA coup, sponsored by British Petroleum and several other, by Shell and several other oil companies, because he was basically setting up like a gold standard nationalised oil company. Oil drilling operation. They said, no way. So they instituted the decades of authoritarian rule under the Shah, which then ended with decades of foreign dictatorial rule under the Khomeini regime, the radical Shia Islamist group there. Emperor, how fucking old is Soros? He's ancient, isn't he? I mean, they all are, aren't they? Kissinger, Prince Philip, Soros, David Rockefeller's finally died. That old creep has finally shuffled off this mortal coil. But all the rest of them, they're still there, aren't they? They're still walking the earth in their late 90s, and maybe they're even older. Who knows? Who knows how old they are? If they could be much older, and no one from their youth is going to be alive to remember them, are they? And so, but it's the good guys who die young. We lost Keith Chegwin, 60 years old. Prince, 57. Michael Jackson, 50-something. 53. How old was Last Christmas, wasn't it? He wrote a song called George Michael, 50-something. When are they going to die? Oh my God! It's like that song by Billy Joel. Only the good die young. It's true, isn't it? It's bloody true. David Bowie, 60. Yeah. So, now this is Gaddafi. This is interesting too, because so I'm trying to get through as many questions as I can here. Do you think they're playing out the Illuminati card games? Yes. Now, Gaddafi was ready to bring free water online with a massive freshwater lake he found under the Sahara. That's true, Tina. Yeah, he was going to pump water from this aquifer up into for people to use, which would make Libya and the whole area of the Sahara would be basically irrigated, and everyone would have plenty of water. You could have agriculture. There was a massive aquifer, it's an underground lake beneath Libya, and he was going to do that. And what's more, what really sealed his fate was he was going to bring in a Bank of Africa, which was going to operate under the gold standard, and he was going to trade oil in gold, not the US dollar. And whenever you say that, it's a complete suicide note. Oh, thanks, Baconland. Rab MCM, what's your opinion of Richard Hall's show where he found an ex-army witness who allegedly was in the unit that intercepted UFO appearance sites? It involves missing people in the Brecon Beacons. That is very, very, very interesting. That chap does exist. I know because Tony Dodd knew him, and I've never met Tony Dodd, but I've known a lot of people who knew him, who knew Tony Dodd. That ex-army guy is real, and I've got no reason to think that Richard, because Richard had access to a lot of Tony's archives, so there's no reason why Richard would lie about that or make that up. I think Richard's an honest chap anyway, but there's no reason why he wouldn't have managed to approach the same person. So I think that's very true, and there's a lot of people go missing. I mean, the people in the Brecon Beacons, there's a young man and a woman went missing. They were in their late teens, and they were found dead with all kinds of horrific injuries, which was very similar to what you see with the cattle mutilations. And this has been repeated many times all over the world, and this is one of the things this may be one of the reasons why at a lower level the truth embargo continues, because the government just don't want to admit this is going on. Right. I'm going to get some more sherry, I think. Don't go away. I'll be back in a sec. Got it over here. That's it. That's the stuff. Now then, so I'll say more about Tom DeLonge maybe another time. There's a YouTube video, a very interesting YouTube video. It's quite short, only about 20 minutes, and it's called, well, I can't remember what the video's called, but it's the name of the uploader is he's got a great name, Mouthy Buddha. So check that out, and he talks about Tom DeLonge, and he thinks it's some kind of psyop. He really does. So that's it. 2016 was the year. So 2016 was the year of Brexit and Trump. That was a time when it was really quite an incredible year, and I'll never forget that. I will never forget the feelings I had that, 2017. I said at the end of 2016, if 2017 is half as good as 2016, I'm going to be delighted, because I really did think, this is the beginning of the end for the New World Order. I really did. It wasn't planned. I know some people think it's planned, but the thing is, by that logic, if all the evidence leads for people to believe, leads towards the conclusion that the powers that be didn't want something to happen. Put sherry in a big glass. Tina, I can't drink it that much. I'll be reeling by it within an hour. I've been online for an hour already. I'm going to need some more dragon juice though. But if it was all intended, if it was all planned by the New World Order, then by what criteria can the New World Order ever be seen to end? It's a bit of an unfalsifiable hypothesis. And I can see a situation where we'll be kind of in the post-Illuminati world. We'll be like 200 years in the post-Illuminati era, and there'll still be people peeping around corners going, wow, aren't they crafty? Can you believe it? If only it can be capitalised in 2018. I hope so, John. I mean, this is why I like New Year's, because New Year's is the time to put the past behind you and look to the future. Fuka says, how much is the rent in Brighton? I don't know, mate. I'm sorry. I've never lived in Brighton. You could ask the people who do the Type 1 Radio Lounge, because they live in Brighton. Deborah Hatswell. Hey, Deborah. Happy New Year. Deborah's going to be at the Dreaming Saucers, or we're going to see her at the Dreaming Saucers event. That's something that's something I want to tell you about. That's coming up. That's something to look forward to for 2018. Is the Dreaming Saucers event, definitely. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Now, this is Rabsi. Are you talking about the David Paulides thing about the people going missing in national parks? They do. People go missing in national parks in the US. I think there's over 400 who've gone missing. I mean, generally people go missing a lot more than we think. Generally speaking, a lot more. Now, there's several other things I thought was, like the Helen Duncan situation. I think I'll probably make another video on Helen Duncan next year, because we're getting close to now to a point where she can be pardoned, because there's so much, because of this Turing's law, this new legislation that pardons people accused of homosexuality when homosexuality was a crime, are now being pardoned and apologised to. The same goes for Helen Duncan, because she's basically committed an offence, or allegedly committed an offence, or prosecuted and convicted of committing an offence, falsely I believe, which was then repealed in 1951, Witchcraft Act. Now, there's been several terrorist attacks, the Westminster attacks, the Manchester attack, troops on the street. There was several occasions when they had troops on the street. London Bridge attacks. There was the Finsbury Park mosque attack. There was a whole array of terrorist attacks, weren't there? I mean, there's a massive number of them. Let's go through here. Brecons Beacons is a national park. Yes, it is, and yes, it happens. The people who go missing tend to be, like, according to Tony Dodd and Richard D. Hall, who've been interviewing this ex-army guy. The people who go missing, it tends to be in remote areas of the countryside. They disappear, then their bodies turn up with these very strange injuries. David Caton is a good guy to see on this, because he's been studying this in detail. He studied the famous one is the Dyatlov Pass incident of 1959 in Russia, where a whole group of young students, they were hiking through, they were doing a winter hike, go skiing and things like that, and they died. I mean, something happened which caused them to lose their minds and panic, and then they died. Very strange indeed. Yeah, seagulls, ducklings. Well, yeah, it's of course. I mean, farm animals do die. I mean, they get diseases. They're sometimes attacked by predators. Some idiots, some kids go for them sometimes. But these are like these injuries are not inflicted through normal ways. They're inflicted differently. I'm just checking something. One moment. I've got any trouble here. I'm having some problems with various things. All right. Don't worry. I'll be back. Sorry, back in a second. Okay. So yeah. Where was I? Yeah. So I've got a problem to deal with. Yeah, the animal mutilation things. Now this is where you say, you can't. This is what I mean when I say that aliens. Humans are not doing this. It's not some secret government experiment, because it's very easy to. If you want to do secret government experiments, and you need farm animals. It's very easy to get hold of them. You can just buy them through the normal channels. It's quicker, it's simpler, and it's cheaper to do that. You don't have to get some big silent helicopter and snatch them from fields in the middle of the night and then return the body where everyone can see it's happened. If the Illuminati are reptiles, what planet do they come from? Well, maybe they don't come from. Maybe they come from a parallel universe. Diego Rivera. So I'll do something about Helen Duncan at times. What's something else I've got to do? Let's go through these various notes I have here. There's been some awful TV programs this year. Did you see the one about Max Spears? It was dreadful. And I mean, this is why I won't have anything to do with these people. I mean, I've been asked to take part in TV shows, and I just say no thanks, no way. They've stopped asking me now because I think word's gone round. But the Max Spears situation is suspicious as hell. Or the normal breach in procedure, which I'm familiar with because I used to be part of this when I was a hospital porter. Nothing was carried out. The body was not stored correctly. There was no proper post-mortem carried out. There's been never a detailed post-mortem carried out on Max Spears. Never, not once. It really is extremely suspicious. It's and now the inquest has been delayed. These troublesome deviations from standard medical forensic practices are a sign of a cover-up. They're something they're trying to hide. And now Max has been buried now. It's too late. He's had his funeral, he's been buried, but we're still waiting for the inquest. Now, this reminds me of the death of Nurse Jacinta Saldana. Do you remember my video about this? This was a couple of years ago. But she was the nurse who was on duty when Kate Middleton was having Prince George. And those Australian TV presenters phoned up. She was then later found hanging in her room in staff accommodation. Like, really, she's going to kill herself over a thing like that. And nurses are tough people. Nurses have to deal with some unspeakable things. They're pretty resilient ladies. Are they really? Is she really going to commit suicide over something like that? That's a long story. Now, what else has been happening? Is the Vault 7. Now, I won't say too much about the Vault 7 thing because, I mean, I'm concerned. Like, several people have said, like, you can't trust WikiLeaks, and I think there is suspicious things about them, yeah. But, I mean, what's interesting about the Vault 7 revelations, this is basically that the CIA has its own electronic intelligence outfit, which is not subject to the same regulations as the NSA. That was very interesting. Cosmic Claire, hey Cosmic Claire, hiya. Hi Cosmic Claire, good to see you. Casbolt out soon, says Baconland. I think he hopefully he'll be out in a shorter time than his original sentence. That's what I'm hoping will happen. Because he got 12 years or something. Really, very, very heavy sentence. And there's all kinds of questions over what was really going on there. But I mean, maybe he'll. Tina said, seals with screwed cuts around the body. Yeah, that was very strange. It's like a spiral thing. It's like, you know. Check this out. I haven't done a video or radio show about Dyatlov Pass. I wrote to someone who's written a book about Dyatlov Pass, about getting him on as a guest. He hasn't got back to me. Maybe I should write to him again. Glad you're here, Cosmic Claire. It's nice you're here. Sorry you weren't on the Millennial. That was wrong. That was so wrong. I hope Millennial will let you back on again another time. Millennial Woes. Yeah, Richard D. Hall did a very good show on the mutilation thing, and so yeah. So this is what I mean. If you encounter aliens, they can be like really nice ones, like the ones Mary Rodwell talks about, where the kids have a kind of like spiritual interaction with these beings. On the other hand, you can meet them that are really horrible. I mean, see, this is why there's no one alien. I mean, there are many different species for a start. There's a virtual taxonomy of them now: the tall greys and the short greys and the Nordics and the little blue creatures and the mantis, the ones that Simon Parkes has been shagging. You know the ones I mean? There's so many different ones. Oh yeah. Right. Vault 7. Now, what Vault 7 says. Now, a few years ago, we were laughed at saying this. We said a few years ago that the intelligence agencies of the world had the ability to use your own television set to spy on you. They could actually. Chris Moffat said, "Oh, this David Paulides." That's him, Chris. He is. What about the people who go missing, Chris? Yeah, that's a very, very disturbing case. That is up to 400 people go missing. I don't know what the cause of it is. I'm hoping to get David on the radio show soon. But a few years ago, we conspiracy theorists, nutjob, tinfoil hat wearing loonies, were saying that the intelligence agencies had this ability to spy on people using their television sets. And we said, I would say things like, look, if you want a private conversation, you don't just switch your telly off, you have to unplug it. Or take the aerial lead out or something, because it may look like it's off, but it's not really. Well, guess what? It turns out that Samsung have been doing that very thing. They've been collaborating with this CIA electronic intelligence thing based in, I think it's in Hanover in Germany, where they've got this whole centre with 400 staff. They've been collaborating with them so that the CIA have been spying on us. Yes, using these Samsung smart TVs. And if they're doing it with Samsung, they're probably doing it with all of them. How many times do we conspiracy theorists have to be proved right before they stop laughing at us? We said this over Hillsborough, didn't we? We said it was all a cover-up. It was a massive cover-up. The Hillsborough disaster was basically the police and the local authorities and the Football Association wanted to cover up their own incompetence. So they made it look like it was the fans' fault. And to this day, I mean, you can't get, there's not many shops in Liverpool where they sell the Sun newspaper. So, what else is happening? What else happened this year? Well, Elon Musk announced that he's going to send a rocket to the moon next year. The SpaceX Corporation is sending a manned mission to the moon. 2 people are going to be sent to the moon. Well, I don't think they will be. I'll believe it when I see it, basically. And of course, in June, in the early hours of the 14th of June, we had the Grenfell Tower fire. And to this day, we still don't know how many people were killed in that. It's probably over 100. And this was the Grenfell Tower thing. Now, this is the second fire they had there, because they had a fire there before which killed 6 people a couple of years ago, and they did nothing about it because the alarms weren't working, the sprinklers weren't working, and there's this cladding which was flammable. Chris, I mean, you live near there. I know you can see the damn thing well, not from. I think you can see it pretty close to where you live. I've driven past it on the coast. You see this big black, gutted, oblong thing sticking out of the ground. I mean, when people like Jungle Surfer say, "Oh, it never happened. There was no Grenfell Tower. I'm Jungle Surfer and I know these things." No, Jungle Surfer, it did happen. I've seen it with myself. I filmed it on one of my videos. Or am I making that up? Am I part of the Illuminati then? Philip Milletta, we did talk about Brexit earlier, I'm afraid. I can't go through Brexit again, I'm sorry. But I did talk about Brexit. I'm very much a Brexiteer. And the Ramonas are striking back at the moment. We mustn't stop. We must have to stop them. That's what's going on at the moment. Talk about the new... Oh no, I've chipped... Yeah, oh right, yeah. I did a thing about this. Now, this is a quick question from Tiberius Kirk. I didn't actually see Doctor Who the other night. I've gone off it. Well, I went off it a long time ago. I went off Doctor Who about a couple of years ago. I think the last completely decent Doctor Who, the last Doctor, was Christopher Eccleston. Then they had David Tennant, who was all right. He had a couple of good episodes, but it's really started going downhill. And after that, it just went stupid. And now, I mean, it's so, I think cucked is the word. It's just so culturally Marxist, Doctor Who. It's in your face every single time. This political correctness, which is so typical of the BBC. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's getting so... It's the point now, so they have a woman as the Doctor Who. They have a female Doctor Who, and as the jokes are going all over Facebook. Oh, at least the TARDIS will be nice and clean and tidy. Yeah, but don't let her drive. Things like that, yeah. And it's going to be a very, very strange Orwellian situation we're going to be in now with Doctor Who. I'm not going to watch it, obviously. The thing is, most people won't. It's going to have very, very low viewing figures. Because the fans and the people just don't like it. I mean, Cosmic Claire, I love the old ones, Claire. I was my first Doctor was Tom Baker, and he was brilliant. He was in it for so long. I wish they don't stay around like he used to. But it's just lunacy. I mean, it's a sort of thing. It's going to be a very strange situation where fans hate it. A few people are going to watch it. It's going to have very low viewing figures. The BBC are going to hype it beyond all belief. The BBC are going to make out like it's the last word on Doctor Who, and it's going to be completely and utterly hyped. It's going to have a massive budget, massive license payers' money is going to be spent on it. If you actually pay your TV license, which I don't, come and get me. Huge amount is going to be spent on it, and then it's going to be, the critics are going to rave about how wonderful it is, because they won't dare do anything else, will they? It's rather... Did you see my review of the film Get Out? Watch that, because I make this point as well. No one will dare to say this is a load of rubbish. This is a stupid Doctor Who. This is awful. No one will dare say it, because You know what will happen is the SJWs will have an epi, won't they? They'll get triggered and they'll say, the misogynist, he's a misogynist. Get rid of him. Kick him out of his job. Right. So Chris, how long before Doctor Who was a transgender? Well, Chris, I mean, are you suggesting the Doctor should be white? You racist. You complete racist. Chris Moff 17 suggested the Doctor Who should be transgender. But you assume he's going to be white, don't you? Racist. It's funny enough, right? You may be familiar with Anita Sarkeesian. She's a thorn in the side of Sargon of Akkad and several other people in the anti-SJW community. Now, this is the thing when you can't appease the left. You give the SJWs what they want. Right? You say, okay, we'll give you your female Doctor. Have a woman as the Doctor Who. Okay. And they don't say, oh, thank you very much, we're happy now. They don't. Then they ask for more. They say it's not enough, we want more. Anita Sarkeesian said the first thing she did when she found out that the new Doctor Who was going to be female was she should complain that this was a white woman. And this is what happens. This is what always happens. The catchphrase of the SJWs is, "We have achieved so much, but we have so much more to do." That's their buzzword, and they'll keep on saying that. And nothing will ever be enough for them. Nothing. So you have to stand up to them and just say no to them. You say, no, you're not having this. And people are going to say no. There's going to be this sort of strange Orwellian situation where the Emperor will have no clothes. But in other words, Doctor Who will be a load of crap and no one will want to watch it. Yet the BBC will insist that it's the most wonderful thing they've ever put onto their screens, and the critics will say how great it is. John Daniel says, diversity is our strength. Yes, John, and war is peace, and freedom is slavery. Sylvester McCoy. Now, he was a good one. He was the Scottish Doctor, yeah. He was very good, I thought, yeah. I thought Grenfell might be part of the gentrification agenda. Well, it's true. I mean, Emman Padwima, hello, by the way. It was a pretty awful thing, actually. I should come back to Grenfell Tower, because there's all kinds of issues associated with that. The fact that Grenfell Tower is basically a human rubbish dump. And I mean, they were just... the reason... these people were basically neglected because the authorities considered them worthless. These were poor council tenants. Well, there's a hospital porter actually died in the Grenfell Tower incident. I've got his name. Here we go. Let me find out who he is, because I did a little tribute to him. Yeah, it was a chap called. Scroll down a moment. Sorry. Yeah. Abdulaziz El Wahhabi, a Moroccan chap. He was from a Moroccan family. He died there with his wife and his 3 children. A 20-year-old, a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old. They all died together in their flat. And he was a porter at the University College Hospital in London. Pride and dignity, Brother Porter. Rest in peace. But of course, this is not to diminish the civilian casualties of Grenfell Tower. But it's basically there's a lot of this feeling that this is what happens when you bring in people, you fill local government with careerists and cultural Marxists. They're just gonna turn their back on everyone except their chosen victim group. If they're careerists, they'll just think about themselves and their own company car. If they're cultural Marxists, it will just be their particular victim group, and that is usually white, middle class, women, gay people, trans people, etc. They don't care about the working class and poor people anymore. They just don't care. So that's one of the issues associated with Grenfell Tower. I mean, there was actually a fire in Dubai of a building of a similar design, and everyone got out safely. This was the address downtown. No, sorry, the Torch Tower it was called in Dubai, which is a bit of an ironic name when you think about it. It went up like a torch, yes. And everyone got out safely because it's got a very similar design to Grenfell Tower, but it's a luxury block of flats. It has alarms, detectors, heat triggers, sensors, and things like that. But it's an example of what happens when you dehumanise people, and you turn them all into components of a political dynamic. It means if a couple of hundred get toasted one day in their homes, it doesn't matter. And this is what cultural Marxism does. This is what the left are doing. This is the left, which is, I mean, I suppose it's funny because like I used to be much more left-wing when I was like a kid, because I suppose I grew up in the Thatcher era, and left-wing ideas had this veneer of anti-establishment, of anti-establishmentism, because we had such a sort of arch-conservative government. But of course, the left and the right can both be used by the New World Order. The left and right in politics can both bring out globalist New World Order ideas. And of course, despite the fact it was such a terrible tragedy, it doesn't excuse us from asking the obvious question, which was we had a block of flats which burned all day, so all night it burned. It was still smoking in the morning when the sun went up and the newspapers people were there, and the whole thing was completely consumed by fire. Yeah, it's still standing. It didn't fall down. It's still there now. No doubt it'll be demolished eventually, but it's still standing. Yet on 9/11, fires, 2 buildings had very small, localised fires by comparison. Yet they fell within a couple of hours, and they didn't fall. They turned into a huge cloud of dust within a couple of hours. Oh, and this has happened over again. There's never been a time once since 9/11 2001 when a block of flats, a large building, has caught fire and collapsed or been destroyed in the way that the World Trade Center was. And Building 7, remember that no plane hit Building 7. It suffered some moderate damage from falling debris. That was all. But it just went down. It didn't just go down. It turned into a cloud of dust. You know, it's like. Funnily enough, I had some people. One of the people I sort of like got into a debate with about 2016, the 2016 effect on the Springtime in Narnia thing. I asked them that question. I said, like, by what criteria would you say that the New World Order had ended? And they said, when I turn on the news one morning and I see Dr. Judy Wood being interviewed, and I say, well, is there going to be some process leading up to that? That's the point. I mean, I believe there will be a process to that, you know. I believe there will be a process leading up to that. So that's an interesting point. I mean, we're going to see more of these. I call them 9/11 no-shows. There's been half a dozen since 9/11. There's been one in Grozny in Chechnya. There's been several in Britain. There's been the Madrid fire, and there'd be the Windsor Tower in Madrid. I'll go through some of your questions now. So I won't be able to get to all your questions, sorry, because they've scrolled up a bit, but some of them are over the horizon now. But Mark Window seems to think it was real, but there were telltales put out to discredit real witnesses, and the motive doesn't make sense to me because no one said it happened. Oh, is that about the Grenfell Tower, Iman? Okay. So what else is there? Yeah, there's Oh, this is funny. In July, this happened in July. Wiltshire Police issued an official statement on crop circles. Now, it's very rare for state authorities to ever even mention crop circles. They did. They said this. With summer well and truly underway, we have seen an increase of crop circles appearing across the county. They might seem harmless, but they actually have a huge negative impact on the hard-working landowners and farmers whose crops are damaged. Creating a crop circle is criminal damage and an offence. The damage caused means a loss of revenue to the farmer and the landowner. They also have to deal with civil trespass issues on their land after a crop circle has been created, when members of the public come without permission to view the circle. It has also been known for individuals to pose as part of a charity or as the landowner at the site of crop circles and attempt to take donations from people viewing the crop circle. We urge all farmers and landowners, if they have had a crop circle on their land, to report it to us so it can be recorded. Often after a crop circle appears, individuals will arrive with a drone and photograph it. Are your ears burning, Matthew Williams? Take note of any vehicles, their registration plates, and any individuals pass this information to the police. If a circle is created on your land, make sure you tell the crop circle community if you decide to allow or not allow access to the general public. If you intend to cut the circle out, this should reduce unwanted visitors. We also ask the public to help support our rural communities by reporting any suspicious vehicles, behaviours or people in crop circles to the police. They may be attempting to create a crop circle or committing criminal damage. If you see a crop circle creation in progress, call the police on 999. Oh, it depends who's making it. This thing where farmers cut the circles out is very, very sad. I mean, a lot of them, more and more of them are doing it. And it supposedly discourages the crop circle people from making crop circles. But it's cutting off their nose to spite their face, because they lose a lot more crop from cutting the thing out than they do from the actual thing itself. I mentioned Matthew Williams. He's the only person so far who's been successfully prosecuted for crop circle making, and that's a fact he wears very proudly on his sleeve. Yes, Matthew. I'm joking around, Matthew. Yes, I am. Oh, Ben, you're joking. JL. Yeah, okay. We'll make you steady in 2018, Ben. The thing about it is, right, the obvious omission in that police report is that the paranormal and UFO element to the whole thing. Okay, that's the obvious omission. That's obviously what they've not said. The assumption is that crop circles are all made by people using conventional methods, planks, tape measures, etc. And I don't think that's true. I think obviously there is a large element of man-made things to the crop circle. A lot of them are man-made, but not all of them are. There is a natural phenomenon too. So if you see a crop circle creation in progress, it depends who is actually doing it. Because in some cases, the police will need more than a squad car to catch the culprits. A space rocket might be a more effective start. So who's in the chat box now? Anyone? You guys in the chat box, thanks for all your comments. Are you Big Ben tonight, Mr. Jones? Is Big Ben actually on tonight? I think it will be, because it's been kind of, Big Ben's been silent, hasn't it, for a long time? Yeah. Can you still hear me all right? I'm still, let me have a look. I'm still live, aren't I? Should be. I've got like a, yep, I'm still there. Yeah, so it's, yeah, I'm still there. There's a slight delay between me speaking and what you see, but it's only like a few seconds. Right. Jim Mars died this year, which is very sad. Jim Mars, he was pretty old, but I mean, he was really, really great. He was investigating UFOs and secret government activities, hidden technology, paranormal stuff for years, before Alex Jones was born. He wrote a book called Crossfire, The Plot That Killed Kennedy. This inspired Oliver Stone's film JFK. And he worked on the Aurora incident as well, which indicates that this may be the first ever recorded UFO crash retrieval. It's very sad he's gone. He was a very, very well-known figure. He wore a Stetson hat, had a big white beard, and it won't be the same without him. It really won't. Now, I'm afraid there are no updates on the Peruvian mummy, which I mentioned in one of my videos. We're still waiting for that, but that's been an exciting thing that happened this year. That there was that mummy that was found. Now, strange mummies are often found, but they're often hoaxes. But this one's real, I think. It's been X-rayed. Steve Mera is investigating this. We're just waiting for the DNA test to come back, and so I don't really know what's going to happen. But it could turn out to be real. It's a strange mummy-like thing that's found. It's from the 4th century, found in Peru. And it doesn't look human. Its head's the wrong shape, and it only has 3 very long digits on its hands. It doesn't have normal hands with normal fingers. Same with its toes. And of course, this may be related to the Star Child skull. The Star Child skull, again, the DNA is coming back, and the physiological examination is pretty clear this is not human. Tina, I believe the baby of Kate will be called Aurora. Really? Are the royal family getting... Okay, now, I actually think... I put a bet on Victoria last time. So I thought I thought the girl, Princess Charlotte, she's called now. I thought they were going to call her Victoria. Now, Victoria is a very important name for the for the Habsburg Illuminati bloodline, which is behind all the thrones of England for the last several centuries. The name George represents a continuation of that bloodline, and so does the name Victoria, because of the queens and kings. But maybe if this is a girl, this third one will be called Victoria. I don't know. We'll find out. It's probably, I mean, Kate's going to have to have that fake pregnancy bump again, isn't she? Because the baby's probably been grown extra utero in an artificial womb. They do have the technology to do that, and I believe they use it. Right. So, what else has been going on? Well, we had Catalonia voting for independence. That was quite interesting. It's a kind of like mini version of the EU situation, because the equivalent of the Ramonas were basically the Madrid government, who like sent in the police and stole ballot boxes. It's a pretty awful thing, but they have done a unilateral Declaration of Independence. There's a guy called Simon Harris on YouTube. He's a guy who lives in Barcelona, and he has British roots, and he does a very good. He did a very good vlog of all this when it was going on. We'll see what happens. I think this will have to come to a head in. It'll have to come to a head, I think, in this year. It has to, because there's a kind of stalemate at the moment, but it just won't. It won't go on for long. It can't go on for long. What else has happened? They found a void in the pyramid. That's now Tina will know about this. But in the Great Pyramid, they found this. They found the space using this thing called muon spectrography. What's it called? Muography. This new technique. They found a 460 they found this 100-foot space above the Grand Gallery in the pyramid, which is like open. It's completely encased within the structure. There's no known corridor, passageway, or anything that can get into it. So they're now looking for permission, maybe to like dig a hole. And it doesn't have to be a big hole like they used to have. They can put like drill a little hole and put in a fibre optic camera, like it did with Ganton Brink's door. They just found another door beyond that. So that's so interesting. David Icke has been called anti-Semitic again. Oh God, we go through this every few years, don't we? Every few years, David says, "There's a new world order out there. Jews aren't doing it," and someone will say, "You're saying that because you think Jews did it." There was all kinds of trouble. It was ridiculous, and there was these awful people started going on about this. It's bloody awful, bloody horrific. And of course, the biggest news of the last part of the year was Harry and Meghan. That's it, Harry and Meghan, another royal wedding, and luckily it's not on the same day as Dreaming Saucers. Thank goodness for that. Now, Harry, the most eligible bachelor on earth, is marrying his long-term girlfriend Meghan Markle, who's an American actress, and yeah, it was well, good luck to them, I say. I mean, it's the thing about it is, obviously, it's very rare, I think, in the royal family, in the aristocracy, for people to marry who they want. I'm not saying that Harry and Meghan are not sincerely in love, but if they are, then it's a lucky bonus. He would still have to marry her if he was told to. Now, it's not unacceptable for a prince of the realm to marry a divorcee. Charles married Camilla. You know. Meghan Markle was married and divorced before. It doesn't matter, but she's unusual in many other ways because she's American. She's not. She's going to be a naturalised Briton. It shouldn't be hard. I mean, if the waiters in Pizza Hut can become naturalised Britons, I'm sure she can. But it's obvious from her appearance she's a mixed race. Now, this is interesting because I think this may have been done to appease the SJWs because the royal family is conscious of its public appearance and its public image, And one of the criticisms that the SJWs and the left generally, which of course the left are the dominant political force in the country, is, well, they're all white. They're all white Europeans. Well, the fact of the matter is the royal family are not white Europeans. They look it, but in racial terms, the royal family are actually completely unique. They're actually a race apart from everybody. But they appear to be white Europeans, and most people think they are for that reason, because they present those features. But Meghan's maternal ancestry is described as African American, which is a horrible word. I just say black. I don't do this political correctness, as you know. But because the political left are calling for the abolition of the monarchy, and this is a way that they can shut these people up, and it seems to have worked. It seems to be a trick to shut those people up. All those leftist Republicans are now sort of like silenced, and some of them have even decided they like the royal family after all. This is why Meghan was chosen for Harry, and she was chosen for him. But Meghan is not a commoner, right? There's this thing about you hear this phrase all the time. Oh, the royalty marries the commoner, but Meghan is not a commoner. And Meghan is related actually to the Habsburg Illuminati bloodline. Harry is a direct descendant, of course, through and is a direct descendant of this bloodline, and she and Harry are 18th cousins. Harry is related to Meghan through an early member of the Bowes-Lyon family. Now, the Bowes-Lyon family includes the Glamis Castle lords, the Earls of Strathmore and Kinghorn. Now, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, was a member of this family, and now Meghan is, through her paternal line, she is actually connected to the Habsburg bloodline. Her mother's bloodline is harder to trace because her ancestors were sadly slaves, and that's a sad fact. It's not something that we need to apologise for or feel any guilt for. If you're white, don't feel guilty. But when someone is captured as a slave, their past was erased. But her great-great-great-grandfather was a slave on a plantation in Georgia. But I do wonder if there's some Illuminati connections with her maternal line too, because there was an African branch of the Illuminati, and Credo Mutwa talks about this, and Robert Mugabe and Nelson Mandela and Barack Obama are all connected to this African branch of the Illuminati, and it's Robert Mugabe is a direct descendant from the Mashona Empire. So it's quite likely she's royal on both sides. I mean, I wish them luck, I really do. I think they're going to need it. Because it's very ironic. I mean, when William married Kate, there was these young girls in the crowd holding up these banners saying, "Marry me, Harry, marry me." And so Princess Meghan is now being bitterly envied by millions of women across the world, but like Kate was. But maybe, after experiencing royal life from the inside, those feelings of envy might be reversed. I think they are with Kate. I mean, did you notice when Prince George was born? And the same thing happened when the Princess Charlotte was. She held that baby as if it was somebody else's. There was no maternal love there. There was no bonding. She wasn't looking at the baby at all. It was like that baby had just been taken from somewhere outside and handed to her. Very odd, that, isn't it? Hewitt, yeah. Harry, of course, is part of that bend sinister element, because Diana ended up with James Hewitt, and well, Harry, I think, is his, you know. Now, the Lucifer project, yeah, the Cassini-Huygens probe. This is craft that crashed into Saturn. It's been orbiting Saturn since 1997. It's one of the most successful space missions NASA has ever carried out. But I did wonder about this, you see, because what happened with the Galileo space probe, because this crashed into the planet Jupiter. I did an entire video on this. It left behind a black spot. It's only a couple of months ago I did a whole video about this. And rumours began circulating over something called the Lucifer Project, because one of the books by Arthur C. Clarke is called Space Odyssey 2010 Space Odyssey 2. And this is about a story about where the planet Jupiter gets transformed into a star, because all the hydrogen is turned into is fusing. Because hydrogen is the basic element of stars. It's also the basic element of the gas giant planets. Some people call them failed stars, these gas giant planets. And so when the Galileo, with it had a plutonium-238 fuel source, crashed into the Jupiter, it may have exploded and possibly triggered a fusion reaction within that star, within that planet, which might cause it to start fusing, and maybe it would create a chain reaction that would spread to the whole planet. We'd have a second sun in the solar system. Now, Cassini-Huygens is powered by the same system. It's a radioisotope thermoelectric generator with 73 pounds of plutonium, as opposed to the much smaller load on Galileo. And they crashed it into Jupiter, crashed it into Saturn, so to prevent it contaminating the moons with its fuel. However, there was this thought that this might happen again. Now, this was going to happen a number of years ago, but they kept extending Cassini's mission. They extended it, and eventually, it finally crashed into the Saturn, and nothing happened. So maybe I was worried about nothing. I mean, you watch my video about that. I did a whole video about that. Maybe it was not meant to happen, but I did think that the creation of a second sun, Lucifer, could be symbolic in the Illuminati belief system of the return of the demiurge to the world, which is part of this creation of the New World Order. The demiurge, Jabulon, Metatron, Rex Mundi, that's what the Cathars call him, and all these other names. Jabulon is what the Freemasons call the demiurge, this lesser god. They have a name. The god of the Bible, Allah, Jehovah, is called by the Freemasons Adonai. So Jabulon is a completely different entity to Adonai. It actually is Lucifer. And maybe this connects to CERN, because CERN has all these kinds of symbolism in it. It has a 666 in the logo. There's this big Hindu, the statue of Shiva, this big Hindu creator-destroyer god outside the CERN laboratory. I've done a whole video about that. So I was concerned about that. But nothing happened. I was very relieved. I was very, very relieved indeed. Now, Roswell 70 to happen this year. It was the 70th anniversary of the Roswell incident, and I organised a conference with the help of several other people. It was really great. There were some brilliant speakers, and it went down a treat, which is why this year there's going to be another one. I'm going to do another one. It's going to be called Dreaming Saucers. It's 2 days. I was originally going to make it 1 day, but then so many people wanted to speak that I had to extend it. I didn't want to turn them down. And it's going to be. I'll be doing a special video about that in the new year, because there's some really, really great things going to come with that. It definitely is. And of course, what else happened this year? My book came out. Roswell Revealed: A World After Disclosure. The Ring of Certain, yeah. The Ring, Cosmic Claire is a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Well, it's something we both like very much. So, yeah, there's all kinds of... Tolkien, Claire, knew so much about so much. It was incredibly knowledgeable about things. And John Daniel says here, what do you think of Jesus Christ? What he said about himself, his gospel and his means of salvation for mankind? Well, John, I think Jesus was a very misunderstood character. I mean... You see, Jesus essentially became a religion only many centuries after he lived, and by people who never met him and never knew, and never had any interaction with him, or never knew anyone who knew him. And the fact that all the tropes of his life, he was born to a virgin mother on the 25th of December. He had 12 apostles. He died and was resurrected. These stories are found all over the world, in many, many different mythologies, some of them much older. It's possible that because this was a Roman god, a Roman religion essentially, they made him very close to Mithra, because he was another of these solar deities. It's all connection with the sun. We've just been through the summer, through the solstice, in which the sun sinks down into the belly of the earth for 3 days. You've heard that in that story, on the 21st. The third morning it rises, 25th, and starts and heads off again towards the until you get again to the summer solstice. You see, it's all about the sun. Jesus himself was the Turin Shroud. Claire, the Turin Shroud is a big subject. Yeah, I've read Lynn Picknett and Clive Prince talking about that. It's very interesting. They think it's Leonardo da Vinci. Oh, these are Santa isn't real. Oh, Tina, I'm sorry. I hope I don't scar you for life. Yeah, Jesus himself, if you look at the contemporary text closer to the time before the Gospels were written, there's this strange change of the role of Mary Magdalene, which is indicates that Jesus may have actually had children, and this became the bloodline. This is where you get into the Rennes-le-Château mystery, which is still going on. It's dropped in popularity, but it's still there. It's still unsolved. It's very. Claire's talking about the Shroud of Turin. It's very interesting. I mean, Picknett and Prince say it's actually an early photograph, and the person you see is Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know if that's true, but it's a very, very interesting thing indeed. It's not a fake. It's a photographic negative. Ralph Ellis, yeah, he's an interesting chap, Ralph Ellis. So that's how I want to think about that. Now, I'm here to tell you, I've got breaking news. There's going to be another book this year. Probably, I don't see why, barring some major obstacle, I don't see why I shouldn't write it this year. It's going to be a sequel to Roswell Revealed. So this is going to be a trilogy. There's going to be Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, Roswell Revealed, the world after disclosure, and the third book, which will be available when I've written it. So looking forward to that enormously, and I'll let you know. Closer to the time, I will let you know about that. I really will. Now, this is the exciting bit. This is exciting. This is something I've known about for a long time, and I haven't been able to tell you. But Tiberius Kirk will tell you more about this if you ask him. A new film is going to be released this year, and I've known about it for a couple of months, and it's just been released. Christmas Eve, the first teaser trailer came out. This film is going to be called Capel Green, and it's a feature-length documentary about the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident of 1980, told for the first time focusing on the principal witness of the event and the original whistleblower, without whom the people of the world might not even know that the event had taken place. Larry Warren. Now, Capel Green is the field on the eastern fringe of the forest, which is where he had his experience. And this is going to be a completely new film, with completely new evidence, unseen documents, new testimony from Larry Warren, including a top-level polygraph examination. And don't believe all the nonsense being said about it. It was a proper polygraph examination done by a properly qualified and completely reputable polygraph expert. And this is going to be good because, I mean, if you saw my video, Larry Warren and Rendlesham Forest, you'll know that Larry's been under terrible attack by people. Basically, somebody who just doesn't like him for personal reasons has concocted a false narrative about him, which is very persuasive. It's very believable. A lot of people have fallen for it. This film will basically hammer down the coffin lid on that nonsense. I'm looking forward to this very much indeed. And this whole issue has torn the whole UFO UFO community apart, but it has to be addressed. It has to be put to bed. Anyone who's capable of rational thought this film will convince them, and if they're not, then they're never going to be convinced anyway. This is a film directed by Dion M. Johnson and assistant director Tina Migaro, who is Tiberius Kirk, and is there in chat if you want to ask him about it. He'll tell you more, I'm sure. And there's trailers online about it. You can see the trailers online. Indigo Transmit Films is going to be the company that comes out with it. So yeah, I can't wait for that to come out. I really can't. I've waited a long time for this. I've lost friends over this, many friends, and it's very, very sad. So what are my predictions for the coming year? I don't think SpaceX will get to the moon, and the Larry Warren hate cult will they will never go away. They'll just shrink into a smaller and smaller echo chamber, but they'll never change their position. They're too emotionally invested in it now. No amount of evidence is ever going to change their minds. But the majority of the community will see sense, I think. This film will that's the purpose of this film, is to make them see sense. Now, you guys in the chat box, I haven't seen all your, I'm sorry I haven't been able a chance to see all your comments, but I'm going to do I think my next video will be a comments reply video. And I've been on 2 hours now. I'm getting tired. I'm going to have to get going. Just get 2 hours till midnight. Yeah, I've been on for 2 hours. But my next video will probably be, I intend it to be, a comments reply video. Okay, so I know there's a lot of comments there, and so I have to reply to them. So that's my next project, I think, which will be sometime this week. I've got a panel of radio interviews to do, but hopefully within the first week of the new year I'll have that done. Okay, so thanks for everyone who's left a comment since my last comments reply video. I very much appreciate that. You will get an answer. Okay. Now, this has been an interesting year. It's been an exciting year in many ways. It's been a year of maybe being dragged back down to reality after by the high-flying hope of 2016. As I said before, 2017 the Empire struck back. Maybe next year will be the Return of the Jedi. I hope so. I really do. But it's funny how these the titles of these Star Wars movies always give the plot away, don't they? And I've just done I've done a review of the latest Star Wars movie. If you want to see that, that's my latest upload. But there's nothing more I want to add except to say thank you to all of you. Everyone who supported me and has watched my videos and commented and said encouraging things. You've been brilliant. You are the greatest. I couldn't have done it without you. And I don't want to say anything cliche, but you know, I really think the world of all of you. Even the people who leave rude comments, you know, at least I can always have a laugh with those. I really do. And thanks Tina. Happy New Year to you. And you know, whatever you're doing this evening, get your drinks out, toast the New Year. Yeah, put everything behind you. Put all the stuff behind you. Everything bad behind you. Look forward to the future. This is New Year is a new beginning. That's what I like about New Year's. It's a big line you can draw across the world and then step over it. That's what I like. Thanks, Claire. So, all the best for 2018, all of you, and a happy New Year. And thank you for everything. And well, plenty more to come. Plenty more to come in 2018. And now I hope I can remember how to stop the stream. Okay, so just press. I think I just pressed this.